Okay, now we're going to take a look at importing media into a Premiere Pro project to get ready to start an edit. That's done here through the project window. There are other methods for importing files into Premiere. You can come here to the File menu and go to Import here. And if you look at the video folder here, you'll see the files. And sometimes things import correctly and sometimes they don't. So using these file menus is not always the best way. Again, here you can also right click inside the project window and go import. Again, you can import files here, but they don't always import correctly. A much better method for importing media into any project is to use the media browser. So let's go ahead and use the tilde key, which is the key to the left of the number 1 on the keyboard, to expand this window to full screen. And you'll see we're going to import media here from the general media folder. But even inside the media browser, there's some caveats that you have to watch out for certain ways to import. Now in this particular instance, there was a lot of organization that was already done out on the hard drive prior to this media being imported into the project. And there are ways that can be imported to preserve all that work that was done. I'm going to show you kind of the wrong way to do it first, just to show you that not always is not in every case is the media organized prior to importing it into Premiere. So let's take a look when we just import some general media out of a folder. So let's import it this way. And as you'll see, you're expecting the folder structure, but you don't get that. So unfortunately, the folder structure when importing by just right-clicking and choosing import, and even in the media browser, ignores this. So if we need to organize this media now, we can come and right-click on any one of these headers here and choose metadata display. And come in here to the Premiere Pro project metadata and turn on the media type label. And when we do that, we get the media labels here. And all we have to do in order to organize this footage is just to click on this once, and it organizes all the files into categories here. So now, if we're going to do this type of organization, all we have to do is click on the general media folder, and we're going to right click and create a new bin, and we'll call this one for video. And all we're going to do here is click on the first video icon. Now let's look at these different icons that we have. We have the icon here that shows a video, almost like a film strip, and then a very small waveform audio. This indicates that there's both video and audio with this file, and that's called a movie. We can scroll down here a little bit farther, and we'll find another one here that has just a film strip with no audio waveform showing. This is a video only clip, and it's indicated by video. This icon here is for stills, and the still image is what it says here. This is the icon whether it's a TIFF, JPEG, or Photoshop file. So that helps you recognize what type of files they are once they're in the project window. So let's just click here and then hold down Shift and click here and put these shots into a video folder. Then we can come back up and click on the general media again, right click, create a bin. Let's call this audio, and let's take our narration and our music and put that in the audio folder, and let's close these up. And then finally, let's right click and choose new bin, and we'll call this stills. And we'll go ahead and grab all of this and drop it in to the stills folder and close it up. Now we have this one shot hanging out here that is video, but since it doesn't have audio, but it doesn't matter, we're just going to put it in with the video folder. Okay? So now we've done all our organizing here, and if we go back over to the media browser, we can see there's other ways to import this. If we go ahead, now we did all this manually, but it's not necessary that we do it that way. So let me just delete this. Now remember, we're not deleting the media itself, we're just deleting the clips or the pointers to the media. But instead of importing it from here and then having to do all that work, it's possible to just grab all of these folders inside the media browser this way and import. And you'll see when you do it that way, when you come over to here, all of the folder structure is respected and all that work that was done prior to importing into Premiere is done. Now if we also want to then go ahead and put this in a general media folder, we can right click, choose new bin, name it general media, and then hold down control to select these folders one at a time and drop them in the general media folder that way. Much quicker way to do things. So again, using the media browser is a much faster and better way to import media into the project, and then also recognizing that these different icons for the different media will help you organize your media as you're working with it in the project window. Now, something I want to make you aware of is the differences between what we've been doing so far, which is importing media into Premiere off of the hard drive, to importing media into Premiere from a camera card, from an SD card or a CF card or some kind of card-based media that so many cameras are using today. It's very important to remember not to import the files directly from the card itself into Premiere, because remember, Premiere is only importing the pointers or the clips regarding the media, not the actual media itself. So if you import those clips into Premiere and then you remove the card from the computer, the media will be offline. And if you erase that card to use it again, you will never get those media files back again. So it's very important to copy the entire structure of those cards over to the hard drive and save them before erasing that card and using it again. Let me just show you briefly what this looks like. And also, well, let's just take a look real quick at the card itself. Let me go in here and go to the importing and organizing media. This is the card structure of a Canon DSLR camera. Inside here, there's a lot of files that have nothing to do with the actual video files, but it's still needed by Premiere to be able to read this entire folder structure, so it recognizes that this is a card that came from a camera and uses the media browser to import these files correctly. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Inside this miscellaneous, there's not even any files in there, but Premiere still needs to see that to recognize that this is an SD card from a camera. Inside here, there's two more folders. There's a metadata file in here, and then here is where the movies are from the camera. Now, this is a card that came from a Canon DSLR camera. This is a card that came from a Panasonic P2 card, P2 camera. So let's look inside here. Now we have this contents folder, which is completely different than the Canon DSLR card structure. And if you look in here, we get a whole bunch of folders. And here's audio, that's self-explanatory. But if you import just this into the project, you're not going to get it coming together with the video that was shot. Here's the video folder. Again, if you import just this, you'll get video with no audio. Inside here, there's some metadata files again. These are the icons that show what those clips are going to look like. They do absolutely nothing except represent what the clip is inside of Premiere. This proxy is empty, and then this voice is also empty. But again, we need this entire card structure for Media Browser to be able to recognize what's going on, and that this is a P2 card. So let's go back to Premiere here. Okay, and let's close up these folders, and we'll go ahead and import them into the same file. Now let's go to the media browser and let's take a look. Alright, when we go into the importing and organizing media folder, we'll see we have the P2 card and the Canon DSLR card. Now again, remember what's going to happen if we just import it from here, the Canon DSLR card. It will not respect this folder structure at all. It will just import the files. Okay, now that's not such a big deal on the Canon DSLR because there's nothing in this folder. Okay, and then inside here is the metadata, and then the files that you're actually interested in. So, but let's get in the habit of just doing things the right way here. So let's go to the Canon DSLR camera and right click and import. And some of these files that are in these various folders it cannot read. So, but then when we go back and look, we see the Canon DSLR folder, and it has the movies in it that we need. Let me just go back to the regular interface and double click just to show you. And here's the movies. Okay, now let's go back, hit the tilde key. So importing from the DSLR camera and the DSLR camera's SD card structure is fairly straightforward, but you have to really watch out. Things get more complicated when the card is coming from different cameras. Now let's take a look. When we do the P2 card, if we just right click on this folder here and import it the same way we did the Canon DSLR, of course we get some files it doesn't recognize, some of those strange metadata files and whatnot, but when we go back here and open the P2 card, we don't get any coherent video files. What we get here is audio files, video files with no audio, and then just the bitmap poster frames that aren't associated with any file. So let's go ahead and delete this. Let's go ahead and let's make a new bin and we'll call it P2 card. And we'll make sure that that bin is still selected when we go back into the media browser. And this time, instead of importing from here, we're going to select these coherent video files. Now what's really inside this P2 card, as we saw out on the desktop earlier, is all these different folders with all these different files in it. But what the media browser does is it looks at all of that and turns it into the actual video files that we need to import. So let's go ahead and select all of this and then right click, import. And when we go back out here to the media browser, here inside the P2 card folder which we had selected, let's go back to the tilde key and play these files. You see we have the coherent video files all ready to go.
I'm going to try the one-handed.
Okay, and now we're ready to save the project from here and go ahead and continue editing.